Hello and welcome. We're coming at you live from Danielle's Sunroom at Home Recording Studios. Today we welcome, could you please state your name and quite possibly your age?
Oh, you want my age? Well, my name is Douglas Dent. I'm a very interesting person. Okay, and I live in the area close to your home.
Yes.
Okay, and my age is I was born in 1940, October 9th.
Okay,
So if you're mathematical, you could figure out how old I'll be soon.
It would appear that you are almost 80 years old. Would that be correct?
That's a terrible thing to say to somebody that's getting a little older, but that's correct.
Okay, so today we're going to be checking with you with how you value social media. So my first question for you today is, what social media platforms do you use and how do you use them?
Well, I thought you were going to ask me something that was important. And instead you asked me about social media.
That is the topic today, yes.
That's a very interesting topic. I wish I would have known that. I would have left the country. Okay, so social media. So can you give me an example of what facets of social media you have the most interest in?
So social media is a platform where you can communicate with people on a mass level. So it's going to be things like Facebook, you put a post out, a lot of people can see it at the same time. It's not the same as an email where that's a very personal thing. Social media is a mass communication. Whatever you put out there, many people can see. Do you have any accounts? And if so, how do you use them?
Well, I am personally, I'm on Facebook, but I don't use it. I just have it for business relationships where somebody may be following something we're doing in the environment. Because while I'm old, I think it's very important to let people know that I am actually still working full time.
Yes.
And I run a major business segment on the technical side. So I still have my mind at this age. So what I'm going to tell you could actually be considered as, let's say, factual.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I think when you're talking about social media, because it's part of media. So media is actually the ability to communicate with people, to influence people, to give them an idea of what's going on or what's not going on, to actually present facts and factual information. So I think when you look at social media, let's look at it as part of the social package or part of the media package, which would include newspapers and television. So as an educational standpoint for your readers, they may want to look in and investigate who actually owns the media. Who owns it and what are the opinions of the people that own the media? And is it the same as it was 80 years ago? Now, of course, I wasn't reading literally when I was only 1 year old, but probably at 1 year old I had a fairly good understanding. Probably better than most people today that would, let's say, graduate high school. So in the old days, what media did was media actually reported what was going on. It was not biased at all. There was no bias in the media. In fact, a reporter could not exist if they were biased. In fact, they even went so far as to put laws in that you could never question a reporter on where he got his information. Because the information he had, which would be factual, could be damaging to certain people that were in power. So the media had a very, very significant role, not just in the United States, but in all countries. It always has had. But you want to go specifically to social media. And talking about Facebook, Facebook is owned by one individual who actually controls the thought process that goes in it. If you say the wrong thing on social media, guess what? You won't be on social media. So I'm not going to tell you whether I'm biased one way or the other, but what I am biased is the truth. I like people to be able to tell the truth about what media is really representing. And unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It's completely skewed.
So how would you say it's impacted your life thus far?
Impacting my life, it has not. It has not at all. The only thing that Facebook has done for me is that when we've been doing some key environmental projects and we had people that took either a positive or negative position, I would have the chance to be interviewed on social media, which went out to hundreds of people or thousands of people that would watch it and face it. And that was positive from the standpoint that some people had very negative reactions to what we were doing. And by social media, I was able to convince them, or my team was able to convince them, that what was being reported was not actually factual, because they could actually have a live interview and we would be able to give them the information that was based on technology to be able to change some people's mind, not everyone's mind.
Okay, so what do you see the future of social media looking to be?
I would like to see it eliminated.
Why so?
Well, because it is controlled. Most of social media is controlled by specific ownership, almost like the standard media. So if you look at NBC, CBS, ABC, they're owned between Comcast and Disney World. They own them all, and there's another family that owns the rest of the media.
Well, let's focus now a little bit on like things like Facebook, like platforms that just everyday regular people use.
Well, I think what you're seeing is that a lot of people are pulling back from Facebook because Facebook is actually used to control certain things, and they take data off, or they put data on, or they sell your data, and it's there forever. So some people have been very foolish and almost literally ruined their lives from Facebook because of the retention of data, things that maybe they said when they were 15 or 16 or 18 or 21 or 22, that when they're 35 can literally ruin their careers.
Well, an interesting thing that we learned from Dr. Magolis from Media of Class 260 is that anything you put on Facebook, it's going to stay there forever. It doesn't matter if you deleted it, it will remain there forever. And Facebook has that right.
Right, they do have that right. And that is the unfortunate part, is that when, as an example for you, you're a young person, you're what, 35?
Yeah, sure. I guess you could say that, age 22.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You look much older. So that's going to be terrible as you get older. That's not, but I hope this isn't on Facebook. But what was that question again? Because I'm a lot older now. You wanted to see, since it's on there all the time? The concept is, and the concern is that our minds change. Our ability to have rational thoughts change tremendously. So what you would say when you're 12, 15, 16, 21, 22, maybe even 25 or 26, your mind is not totally developed yet. Your thought process will change. So unfortunately, it's like having an anchor. You know, you don't want to go swimming with an anchor. It's going to pull you down for the rest of your life. Somebody can look up what you said when you didn't have clear conscience. You didn't really know what you were saying. So the fact that social media has that capability of retaining materials and being able to pull it up 10 years later, 5 years later, you know, now hopefully what can happen? Hopefully what can happen is you probably don't remember tapes that you used to put in cars, okay, or CDs. All of those things are gone now. Things have changed. You probably have never heard. You know what a teletype is?
No.
Okay, you probably don't know what a teletype is. So as media's changed and communication changed, the only media that you had one time was the teletype. Then you went to telephones. Okay. Now we have cell phones. We have these things, which everyone they're just glued to them. They never use anything else but the cell phone. So everybody literally knows your thoughts. If I want to find out about you and you don't know who I am, I can look up your Facebook, and I can see what your family looks like, who you've been with, who you had been with before, and maybe even what you think about people.
So with that thought in mind, just a simple yes or no, would you agree that one of the best ways to protect your privacy online would be simply to just not put it online at all?
Wow, you're smart.
Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. So ask me how many posts I have ever put on Facebook.
How many posts have you ever put on social media?
0. Now, if you're not familiar with math, 0 means nada, means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So I just have one final question for you because
I want to answer that because there's a very important factor there, is that I have always been controlled by faculties and what I would do and what is valuable to you and what isn't valuable to you. There's never been a question in my mouth that I would, or in my mind, that I would just let my mouth run off and say things that could have a negative impact on other people, but more important than that.
Okay.
Thank you. A negative impact on me.
So I only have one more question left today.
Okay.
And that is, if you had a message or advice that you would pass to social media users today, what would you say to them? Well,
on the telephone, you can hang the telephone up and you're done. You're not using the telephone anymore. You're offline. As far as social media is concerned, my suggestion is do not use it. There are other ways to communicate. You can now, unfortunately, if you're going to go on the computer and you're going to put materials on a computer that have a negative impact on your life or someone else's life, start to use what is called your mind. Start to think of what the consequences are of what you say and what you do. And that will have a very positive effect on your life.
Well, there you have it. Here we are, interview with Mr. Doug Dent. Thank you so much for coming to our interview today.
You're welcome.
This is Danielle Goddarici from Danielle Goddarici Sunroom at Home Recording Studio.